The ancient records of the Blood Devouring Killing Formation tell of a danger far greater than hidden treasures. Ferocious beasts from the ancient era remain sealed with, while the formation itself grows weaker with every passing age. Now Feng and Xian Miaomiao have ventured into its mysterious heart, searching for the legendary ancient era's immortal flowers, unaware that the deeper they go, the closer they may come to uncovering a legend capable of shaking the Holy Land of Martialism. The old teahouse has somehow grown lively again, and even the storyteller's cup seems happier tonight! Come closer, fellow daoists, for the roads of the jianghu have brought us another strange rumor, another dangerous journey, and perhaps a secret that has been waiting ages for someone reckless enough to discover it. Laughter still lingered within the cavern, and for a brief moment the heavy shadows of the martial world seemed far away. Yet Bai Yuachin had never forgotten the matter that weighed most heavily upon her heart.
Feng, then, were you able to obtain the 10,000 leaves sparrowtail flowers?
The instant she asked, the atmosphere changed. The compass Immortal, Bai Xian, and Nangong Longjian all became solemn. This was not merely a question about a medicinal herb. It concerned whether Nangong Longjian's long-standing illness could truly be cured. Feng did not answer immediately. Instead, he took out a cosmos sack and handed it toward the compass Immortal.
Senior Compass, these should be the 10,000 leaf sparrowtail flowers, correct?
The compass Immortal examined the content, and surprise immediately surfaced across his face.
Yes, absolutely. These are 10,000 leaves sparrowtail flowers.
His astonishment only deepened when he sensed the quantity inside.
But how could there be so many?
Nangong Longjian's gaze sharpened. Even he could hear that something about this hall was extraordinary.
Many? Just how many are there?
Without further explanation, the compass Immortal swept his sleeve. One after another, brilliant medicinal treasures appeared before everyone, until a full 110,000 leaves sparrowtail flowers were revealed. The cavern fell into stunned silence. Bai Ruochen and Bai Suyan stared in disbelief, while even Nangong Longjian could not conceal his astonishment. Merely by looking at the flowers, they could tell these were no ordinary herb. Their medicinal aura and rarity marked them as treasures of tremendous value. Yet their true significance came from their origin, the Elf Kingdom. The compass Immortal himself had once been permitted to request only a single flower, and afterward had effectively lost the chance to ask for another. Feng, however, had returned carrying 100. That difference revealed more than simple generosity. In a place as proud and powerful as the Elf Kingdom, treasures of this level would never be handed over merely because someone asked politely. Feng had clearly earned a degree of recognition that even established experts could not easily obtain. The compass Immortal looked at Feng with both admiration and amusement.
Little friend Feng, how exactly did you manage this? This old man truly has to admit defeat before you.
Bai Ruochen's curiosity could no longer be restrained.
Feng, what happened inside the Elf Kingdom? Hurry and tell us. What did you do for them to give you this many 10,000 leaf sparrowtail flowers?
Feng then gave the four of them a concise account of what had happened during his journey through the Elf Kingdom. He did not exaggerate his achievement, yet the events themselves were enough. When the story ended, even Nangong Longjian regarded Feng differently. Their impression of the ancient era's elves also shifted. The Elf Kingdom might contain proud and aloof individuals, but pride did not mean every elf was incapable of friendship. Whether one could cross that invisible boundary depended upon both opportunity and personal ability. The Elf King had chosen to treat Feng favorably because Feng had proven himself worthy of that regard. And that was perhaps the most striking part of Feng's path. Again and again, doors that remained closed to others opened before him, not through status inherited from birth, but through the reputation and capability he carved out for himself. There was no reason to delay. With the required medicinal treasure finally secured, Feng immediately began constructing the spirit formation that would treat Nangong Longjian. The formation was extraordinarily complicated. Runes had to interlock precisely. Medicinal power had to be guided without weight, and the formation's energy had to temper Nangong Longjian without harming him. For a world spiritist, this was the kind of work where a single mistake could ruin priceless materials or even endanger the patient. Chu Feng possessed exceptional spirit technique, but the Compass Immortal's assistance greatly reduced the burden and allowed every step to proceed with far greater stability. With the two working together, progress exceeded expectations. The massive spirit formation was completed even sooner than they had anticipated. Nangong Longjian sat within its heart as torrents of formation power flowed around him, continuously tempering and treating the illness that had tormented him for so long. The Compass Immortal watched the formation operate, and excitement appeared openly upon his face.
This spirit formation is truly remarkable. From what I can see, curing Nangong Longjian is no longer merely a possibility. This formation will succeed.
An illness once considered incurable was now visibly being treated before their eyes. After years of helplessness, hope had finally taken tangible form. Beside Chu Feng stood Bai Ruochen. Joy illuminated her face, but beneath that joy was a gratitude too deep to easily express.
Chu Feng, I truly don't know how I can ever thank you.
For Bai Ruochen, the greatest desire in her heart had never been to stand at the absolute summit of martial cultivation. What she wanted was far simpler, to finally have her family reunited. Yet because of Nangong Longjian's illness, even that modest wish had remained beyond her reach for so long that it had begun to resemble an impossible dream. Now the impossible was changing before her eyes, and the person who had made it possible was Chu Feng. This was why Bai Ruochen's gratitude went far beyond a debt for medicine or spirit technique. Chu Feng had given her something cultivation alone had never been able to guarantee: the chance to reclaim the family she had longed for. Chu Feng answered with an easy smile, as though what he had done was only natural.
What kind of relationship do we have? We are friends who have survived trials of life and death together. Senior Longjian is your father. In that sense, he is like a father to me as well. Naturally, I have to cure him.
There was no calculation behind those words. Chu Feng was genuinely happy because he had managed to help someone important to him. From the beginning, Chu Feng's pursuit of martial cultivation and world spirit techniques had never been about strength for strength's sake. Power was a shield. Techniques were tools. Everything he struggled to obtain ultimately returned to one purpose: protecting the people he cared about, along with their safety, dignity, and honor. In the martial world, people often spoke of a dragon's inverse scale, the one place that must never be touched. For Chu Feng, that forbidden scale was always his friends and family. This trait was both his greatest strength and perhaps his greatest vulnerability. Anyone who harmed those close to Chu Feng could force him into battles he might otherwise avoid. But it was also precisely this loyalty that made so many people willing to stand beside him when the martial world turned hostile. Bai Ruochen said nothing more. Her smile simply grew sweeter. Beside her, Bai Suyan also watched with a beautiful, relieved smile. With Nangong Longjian's treatment proceeding steadily, Chu Feng turned his attention to another important task.
Senior Compass, I need to continue modifying the Blood Devouring armors. I'll have to trouble you to watch over this formation.
The Compass Immortal answered without hesitation.
Go and handle what you need to. I could not construct this formation alone, but now that it is complete, watching over its operation is well within this old man's ability.
The Compass Immortal smiled as he spoke. He smiled often. In fact, when Chu Feng first met him, those smiles had made the old man seem crafty, almost as if every pleasant expression concealed another scheme. That impression had not been helped by the fact that the Compass Immortal had thoroughly fooled Chu Feng during their first encounter. But now, looking at the same smile, Chu Feng felt something entirely different: warmth. Perhaps there had never been any deeper mystery behind it. The Compass Immortal was simply a man who liked to smile, And now that trust had replaced suspicion, Chu Feng could finally recognize the sincerity that had been there all along. Chu Feng then immersed himself in modifying the blood-devouring armor. Once he began, he worked continuously for 2 full days. Compared with the immense amount of time the immeasurable Immortal and the avaricious Immortal had spent forging the 2 armors in the first place, 2 days were almost insignificant. Yet in those 2 days, Chu Feng pushed the blood-devouring armors to a far higher level of perfection. His work was nearing completion, with only the final distance remaining. That efficiency once again reflected the terrifying value of Chu Feng's world spirit talent. He was not simply repairing someone else's creation. He was understanding its structure, identifying its shortcomings, and improving something that had already demanded enormous effort from 2 renowned experts. Then, just as success seemed within reach, hurried footsteps shattered the quiet. Bai Yuachen rushed toward him, panic written clearly across her face.
Chu Feng, something terrible has happened.
Chu Feng immediately rose.
What happened?
Even as he spoke, Chu Feng activated his heaven's eyes and looked beyond the chamber, instantly investigating the situation outside. His first thought was Nangong Longjian. Perhaps the treatment formation had encountered some unexpected problem. But the formation was operating perfectly. Even so, what Chu Feng saw caused his expression to change dramatically. Without another thought, he set down the blood-devouring armor and shot toward the cave entrance. 2 figures were waiting there. One was an utmost exalted elder of the Nangong imperial clan. The other was Jiang Wusheng. That single sight was enough to make unease rise within Chu Feng. Jiang Wusheng should have returned to the world's hidden valley with Duan Jidao and the others. There was no ordinary reason for him to suddenly appear here, much less accompanied by an utmost exalted elder of the Nangong imperial clan. In the martial world, an unexpected arrival was often more frightening than an announced enemy. Jiang Wusheng's presence alone told Chu Feng that something had gone wrong, and the elder beside him made the matter seem even more serious. The Nangong imperial clan's elder, however, was stunned for an entirely different reason the moment he saw Chu Feng.
Little friend Chu Feng, you've broken through?
The elder had reason to be shocked. Back when Chu Feng had only been a rank 9 half-martial emperor, he had already possessed the ability to kill rank 3 martial emperors. Now Chu Feng had stepped into the martial emperor realm and become a rank 1 martial emperor. From the elder's perspective, that meant even his own rank 4 martial emperor cultivation might no longer be sufficient to defeat Chu Feng. But the elder still underestimated him. Chu Feng had not merely advanced by 1 cultivation level. His battle power itself had risen by another. If he unleashed everything he possessed, rank 4 martial emperors were no longer the true benchmark. Even rank 5 martial emperors could be defeated by him. That meant the young man standing before the elder had quietly crossed another terrifying threshold. His cultivation realm still looked low beside the peak experts of the Holy Land of Martialism, but his actual combat strength had already left ordinary logic behind. Yet Chu Feng did not even pause to acknowledge the elder's surprise. His attention was entirely fixed upon Jiang Wusheng. In a flash, Chu Feng appeared before his sworn younger brother and placed both hands firmly upon Jiang Wusheng's shoulder.
Little brother Wusheng, why have you come here? What exactly happened?
For perhaps the first time in this reunion, genuine panic entered Chu Feng's voice. Jiang Wusheng appeared physically unharmed. There were no obvious wounds, no shattered aura, and no immediate signs that he had just escaped a battle. But Chu Feng could sense something worse. Jiang Wusheng's state of mind was in utter turmoil. For someone as proud and resilient as Jiang Wusheng, emotional collapse was itself a warning. A warrior could conceal wounds beneath robes and suppress pain through cultivation, but despair of this magnitude was far harder to disguise. The moment Jiang Wusheng looked into Chu Feng's face, whatever strength had carried him here finally broke.
Big brother Chu Feng, I am useless,
his face twisted with anguish. Before everyone present, the young man who had endured so much could no longer hold himself together. Tears poured from Jiang Wusheng's eyes as he wept bitterly. Chu Feng's heart tightened. Seeing Jiang Wusheng reduced to such a state hurt him more deeply than any simple report of injury could have.
Little brother Wushang, you're here now. Tell me what happened.
Chu Feng already understood one thing with certainty. Jiang Wusheng had experienced something severe enough to crush the composure of a man who had always forced himself to remain strong. And after witnessing everything Chu Feng had done for Bai Ruochen and her family, this arrival carried an ominous weight. The chapter had begun with one friend's deepest wish, finally moving toward fulfillment. Now another brother had arrived in tears. Whatever Jiang Wusheng was about to reveal, it was almost certain to strike directly at Chu Feng's most sacred inverse scale. The moment Jiang Wusheng appeared before him, grief written across his face, the warmth in Chu Feng's eyes vanished. While one hand steadied his sworn brother, Chu Feng slowly raised his head toward the Nangong imperial clan's utmost exalted elder. His gaze sharpened until it seemed like a blade drawn beneath winter moonlight.
Exactly what happened?
That coldness was not because Chu Feng believed the elder had caused Jiang Wusheng's suffering. The reason was simpler and harder to erase. This very man had once attempted to kill him, though reconciliation had been reached. Scars between martial cultivators did not disappear merely because words of peace had been exchanged. And no, with Jiang Wusheng devastated before him, Chu Feng had little patience left to conceal his hostility. The utmost exalted elder visibly trembled beneath Chu Feng's stare. Once, he had stood high above countless cultivators, yet the young man before him was no longer someone he could regard with arrogance.
Little friend Chu Feng, please don't look at me like that. I truly do not know what happened. Little friend Jiang Wusheng came to our Nangong imperial clan asking to find you. But I did not know where you were, so I could only bring him to search for Longjian. I thought Longjian might know your whereabouts. Longjian has many places where he enters closed-door training. I searched several of them before finally finding him here. I never expected you would also be present. That has saved me much trouble. As for what actually happened, little friend Jiang Wusheng refused to explain it to me, so I truly do not know. You should ask him instead.
The elder's fear revealed just how completely the balance of power had changed. Chu Feng did not need to attack, threaten, or display a martial skill. His cultivation progress and previous achievements had already become a form of invisible pressure. In the martial world, reputation itself could become a weapon. Jiang Wusheng wiped the tears from his face. His heart was still drowning in pain, yet he forced himself to stand firm. This was no longer the moment to collapse beneath grief. If he wanted Duan Jidao and Yin Gongfu to have any hope, he had to speak clearly.
Big brother Chu Feng, this senior really doesn't know anything. There is no need to question him anymore. I'll tell you what happened.
Jiang Wusheng then recounted everything. After the great battle against the 4 great imperial clans at the Ximen imperial clan, Duan Jidao had suffered severe injuries. Because of that, Yin Gongfu, Jiang Wusheng, and the people of the world's hidden valley had chosen to return to the valley first. But before they could reach the world's hidden valley, disaster descended. Experts from the Dark Hall ambushed them on the road. Duan Jidao and Yin Gongfu were taken captive. The remaining people from the world's hidden valley were killed. Amid that catastrophe, only Jiang Wusheng escaped. Yet that survival was itself suspicious. With Jiang Wusheng's cultivation, escaping an enemy powerful enough to seize Duan Jidao and Yin Gongfu was almost impossible. The crueler possibility was that the Dark Hall had never intended to stop him. They may have wanted one survivor to carry the news away. Jiang Wusheng had been thrown into chaos. Those beside him had fallen one after another, while the 2 seniors he relied upon had been dragged away. In that moment, only one name remained in his mind, Chu Feng. He knew no one else he trusted to help him. He remembered that the Nangong imperial clan had once invited Chu Feng as a guest. He also knew Nangong Longjian belonged to that clan and had previously departed together with Chu Feng. With no better luck, Jiang Wusheng gambled everything on the possibility that Chu Feng might be there. He understood the danger. The battle involving the imperial clans had only recently ended. Entering the Nangong imperial clan could easily have become a journey from which he never returned. But desperation had already stripped away his concern for his own safety. Jiang Wusheng's decision was not born from confidence. It was the choice of someone who had run out of choices. When every road closed around him, he placed his life on the single bond he believed would not betray him, the bond between himself and Chu Feng. Fortunately, the Nangong imperial clan had been sincere about reconciling with Chu Feng. They did not make things difficult for Jiang Wusheng. Instead, they sent an utmost exalted elder to personally help him search for Chu Feng. Hearing the entire story, the frost in Chu Feng's expression toward the elder eased. He could hate past actions without denying present kindness. He stepped forward and bowed.
Elder, thank you very much for bringing Wushang here. I apologize for my vile attitude towards you earlier.
Chu Feng had never been someone who confused gratitude with hatred. The elder had once stood against him, but today he had helped Jiang Wusheng reach him safely. A debt was a debt. A grudge was a grudge. If kindness was shown, Chu Feng would acknowledge it. This was precisely what caught the Compass Immortal's attention. Strength could make others submit, but the ability to separate personal resentment from what was right required another kind of discipline. In his eye, that distinction was one of the qualities that marked a true man of character.
Little friend Chu Feng, you are being far too courteous. Whatever grudges existed between us belong to the past. Right now we are a family.
The elder smiled with extraordinary politeness, but beneath that smile remained genuine fear. During the battle not long before, Chu Feng had only been a peak half martial emperor. Now, he had already stepped into the realm of a rank 1 martial emperor. That advancement was what truly frightened the elder. Chu Feng's danger did not lie only in how strong he was at this instant, but in how quickly the meaning of the words strong enough kept changing around him. An enemy who improved at such a pace could turn today's manageable threat into tomorrow's catastrophe. He could not help feeling fortunate that Nangong Longjian had appeared that day and forced the Nangong imperial clan to settle its hostility with Chu Feng. Had that reconciliation never happened, Chu Feng might have become a source of endless trouble for the entire clan. Chu Feng then turned his attention back to Jiang Wusheng. The younger man's expression remained burdened by guilt, as though every fallen companion had become another weight upon his shoulder.
Little brother Wushang, Senior Duan Jidao and Senior Yin Gongfu were captured, not killed. The Dark Hall must have had a reason for taking them alive. For the moment, they should still be safe. It is even possible the Dark Hall wants them to join its side. Both Senior Duan Jidao and Senior Yin Gongfu are intelligent men. I believe they will know how to delay whatever the Dark Hall intends.
Really?
For the first time since arriving, the crushing self-blame on Jiang Wusheng's face loosened slightly.
Trust me, they should be fine.
Bai Suyan personally arranged a place where Jiang Wusheng could rest. There were no serious wounds upon his body, but wounds of the heart were another matter entirely. He had witnessed those around him being killed and captured while possessing no strength to stop it. Such helplessness could exhaust a cultivator more deeply than physical injury. Only after Jiang Wusheng left did the fragile calm surrounding Chu Feng finally break. The warmth disappeared from his face. Frost seemed to gather inside his eyes, and the pressure radiating from him became so severe that even Bai Huachin felt alarmed.
Chu Feng, what's wrong?
If the Dark Hall truly wanted him dead, then even if they chose not to kill little brother Wushang during the ambush, he still would never have been able to escape.
His fingers slowly tightened into fists.
The fact that he escaped means they deliberately allowed him to leave. This was a provocation. The Dark Hall was provoking me, Chu Feng.
And that interpretation transformed the entire incident. If Jiang Wushang had merely escaped by fortune, then the tragedy belonged to the Dark Hall's war against the world's hidden valley. But if the Dark Hall intentionally released him, then the survivor had become a message, and Chu Feng believed that message had been sent directly to him.
What do you plan to do?
For an instant, Chu Feng's killing intent erupted without restraint. The surrounding air seemed to plunge into winter. A biting chill spread through the region, as though even the heavens might freeze beneath the fury contained within one young man.
I can endure anything they throw at me, but I absolutely will not allow them to harm the people close to me. Regardless of whether those two seniors are safe right now, I will make the Dark Hall pay in blood.
Bai Ruochen's body trembled faintly. She understood Chu Feng's reasoning and did not reject the loyalty behind it. Yet even she had to admit that the Chu Feng standing before her now was frightening. This was not irritation. This was true rage. Dragons were said to possess forbidden inverse scales places that must never be touched. Chu Feng had one as well. He could tolerate danger directed at himself, but those closest to him were the boundary his enemies could not cross. The Dark Hall had now stepped across that boundary. And from a storytelling perspective, this made the conflict far more dangerous. The struggle with the Dark Hall was no longer merely about mysterious enemies and opposing powers. By targeting people connected to Chu Feng, they had given the conflict a personal edge, and personal enemies were exactly the kind Chu Feng rarely forgave. Yet rage alone could not rescue Duan Jidao or Yin Gongfu. The reality before Chu Feng was merciless. First, he did not possess enough strength to simply crush the Dark Hall. Second, even if he somehow possessed that strength, he did not know where the Dark Hall's headquarters was located. This was the difference between wanting revenge and being capable of executing it. Chu Feng had a target but no path to reach it. Charging blindly into the unknown would not save the captive. It might only create another victim. For someone as emotional as Chu Feng was in that moment, recognizing that limitation was crucial. So Chu Feng forced himself back toward the task already before him. He continued devoting himself to perfecting the blood-devouring armor. At the same time, he focused on controlling the spirit formation that was being used to treat Nangong Longjian's illness. The compass Immortal witnessed everything. He had already learned what had happened to Jiang Wusheng, Duan Jidao, Yin Gongfu, and the people of the world's hidden valley. More importantly, he had seen Chu Feng transform from murderous fury back into absolute concentration within an astonishingly short span of time. That ability impressed the compass Immortal deeply. Anger was easy. Suppressing anger without extinguishing one's resolve was far harder. Chu Feng had not forgiven the Dark Hall, nor had his determination weakened. He had simply understood that the task immediately before him still had to be completed. Even the compass Immortal doubted that he himself could adjust so quickly under the same circumstances. Time and effort finally produced the result everyone had hoped for. Under Chu Feng's continuous work, the treatment of Nangong Longjian's illness reached its conclusion. They succeeded. Joy erupted among everyone present. For Bai Ruochen and her mother, Bai Suyan, the emotions were overwhelming. Tears flowed freely as relief and happiness finally broke through the tension they had endured. For a moment, they were so excited that they scarcely knew how to contain themselves. Chu Feng was happy as well. Saving Nangong Longjian from his illness was undeniably a victory, and one worth celebrating. But within that happiness, something remained unresolved. A trace of worry still lingered deep within Chu Feng's eyes. One crisis had been resolved, but another had only begun. Nangong Longjian had been treated, yet Duan Jidao and Yin Gongfu remained in the Dark Hall's hand. Chu Feng had regained his calm, gnawed his peace. And once he discovered a road leading to the dark hall, the fury he had forced beneath the surface would still be waiting there. Chapter 1912 Blood Devouring Killing Formation. Even after Nangong Longjian's condition had stabilized, the shadow hanging over Chu Feng had not disappeared. His expression remained heavy, his thoughts distant, as though another storm was already gathering beyond the horizon.
Little friend Chu Feng, is something troubling you?
Bai Ruochen also noticed his unease. Knowing everything that had happened recently, she naturally assumed that Duan Jidao and Yin Gongfu were weighing on his mind.
Chu Feng, rescuing Senior Duan Jidao and Senior Yin Gongfu will not be easy. This matter cannot be rushed. You must think carefully and not exhaust yourself through impatience.
Chu Feng slowly shook his head. Duan Jidao and Yin Gongfu certainly had to be saved, but the danger occupying his thoughts stretched farther than those two men.
Senior Duan Jidao and Senior Yin Gongfu must naturally be rescued, but right now what concerns me even more is the Xianwood Mountain.
Only then did everyone understand. If experts such as Duan Jidao could be ambushed, then the Xianwood Mountain could hardly be considered beyond the Dark Hole's reach. Chu Feng's concern was not meaningless anxiety. It was the calculation of someone who had already seen how the enemy operated. Strike unseen, isolate the target, and leave destruction behind before anyone could respond. A trace of guilt appeared on Nangong Longjian's face. With Chu Feng's personality, he knew the young man must have thought of the Xianwood Mountain long ago. Yet instead of departing immediately, Chu Feng had remained here for several days. The reason was obvious. Chu Feng had stayed because Nangong Longjian's illness had not yet been completely dealt with.
Little friend Chu Feng, I will head to the Xianwood Mountain immediately. If calamity has truly fallen upon them, then even if I must tear apart the earth itself to find the Dark Hall, I will make them repay that debt in blood.
Those words struck directly at the burden in Chu Feng's heart. The tension that had followed him for days finally loosened, as though an enormous weight had been lifted from his chest. In truth, after curing Nangong Longjian, Chu Feng could have rushed straight toward the Xianwood Mountain. Yet another promise was already approaching its appointed hour, the agreement he had made with Miaomiao. Chu Feng had promised to help her, and once he gave his word, he had no intention of abandoning it. More importantly, the blood-devouring armors they needed possessed a dangerous limitation. The insects sustaining those armors would not live forever. When their allotted lifespan ended, the insects would die, and the protective power of the blood-devouring armors would vanish with them. That restriction turned time itself into an enemy. Traveling to the Xianwood Mountain and returning might not consume the entire remaining lifespan of the armor, but entering an ancient era killing formation was never something that could be scheduled perfectly. A single obstruction, daoists, or unforeseen trap could force them to remain inside longer than expected. And if the blood-devouring armors failed, while Chu Feng and Miaomiao were still trapped inside the forbidden formation, there would be no second chance. Their lives would almost certainly end there. Thus Chu Feng could not casually squander even a portion of their remaining time. Yet abandoning the Xianwood Mountain to uncertainty was equally impossible for him. Nangong Longjian's offer solved that dilemma. And the person taking his place was no ordinary messenger. Nangong Longjian was a rank 6 martial emperor, an expert far beyond Chu Feng's current cultivation. If danger truly awaited at the Xianwood Mountain, sending him was far more reassuring than leaving the matter to chance.
Thank you, Senior Longjian.
Chu Feng clasped his fist. There was no empty courtesy in that gesture. His gratitude came from the heart.
Little friend Chu Feng, there is no need to thank me. Without you, my life would soon have ended. Because of you, I was given another chance to live. Because of you, I can continue walking the path of martial cultivation. And because of you, I was able to reunite with my family. This life can practically be considered something you return to me. I could spend the rest of it and still fail to repay such grace.
Senior, you make it sound too serious. You have saved me before, and even if you had never done so, because of my relationship with Ruoshin, I would still have done everything within my power to cure you.
Their exchange revealed something deeper than repayment. The martial world was filled with favors calculated like debt, yet Chu Feng's loyalty was rarely based only on profit. To him, relationships carried weight, and once he accepted someone as one of his own, that bond could influence decisions even when his own safety was involved. The compass Immortal finally interrupted the growing emotion between them. There were more urgent matters waiting.
Enough. There is no need for the two of you to keep exchanging heartfelt words. Our priority is confirming whether the Xianwood Mountain is safe. Little friend Chu Feng still has matters he must attend to, so there is no need for you to go personally. Leave the Xianwood Mountain to Nangong Longjian and me.
As he spoke, the compass Immortal produced a rare object and handed it toward Chu Feng.
Leave your imprint on this. If the Xianwood Mountain is unharmed, I will use it to send word to you.
Chu Feng's eyes immediately brightened when he recognized what lay before him.
A golden flash bird?
His surprise was justified. Golden flash birds were already close to extinction, making one appearing in the compass Immortal's possession anything but ordinary.
Indeed, I spent quite a number of treasures before I managed to purchase this little thing.
The compass Immortal made no effort to hide his satisfaction. Soon afterward, he and Nangong Longjian departed together for the Xianwood Mountain, intent on confirming whether its people had returned safely. Bai Ruochen, Bai Suyan, and Jianghu remained behind within the Purple Flame's Black Mountain. The mountain itself exerted terrifying pressure, but the cave sheltering them contained a special spirit formation capable of neutralizing that oppressive force. Few people ever ventured to such a place, making it naturally secluded. Even so, Chu Feng refused to rely solely on isolation. Before leaving, he arranged additional concealment formations outside the cave, burying every trace of its existence beneath layers of world spirit technique. That small precaution was characteristic of Chu Feng. Powerful cultivators often fell not because they lacked strength, but because they assumed a safe place would remain safe. Chu Feng had survived too many hidden schemes to leave such an obvious weakness exposed. Only after finishing those preparations did he set out for his meeting with Miaomiao. His destination was one of the Holy Land of Martialism's three great forbidden areas, the Blood Devouring Killing Formation. It was an immense spirit formation left behind from the ancient. Yet from the outside, its appearance was strangely ordinary, merely a gigantic mountain drowned beneath endless myth. But the emptiness surrounding that mountain told another story. Despite the formation's fame, there were no settlements, no travelers, no structures, and not even a single tree or blade of grass growing nearby. There were no beasts, no birds, no signs of life at all. Only the wind moved through that desolate land, its lonely whistle cutting through a silence so deep that it felt unnatural. Standing before the mist-covered mountain, Chu Feng felt a faint coldness crawl through him. The danger here needed no guards and no warning tablet. The lifeless land surrounding the formation was warning enough. A place capable of frightening the entire Holy Land of Martialism had earned its title as a forbidden area through countless years of terror. Then, without warning, two small hands slipped over Chu Feng's eyes from behind. A soft, playful voice sounded beside his ear, completely shattering the oppressive atmosphere.
Good sir, would you like a massage?
Chu Feng immediately smiled. The instant those soft hands covered his eyes, he had already guessed who had arrived.
Sure. Where are you planning to start?
Miaomiao instantly withdrew her hand. Her lips puffed into an indignant pout as she stared at him with exaggerated disdain.
Aya, you really are a rogue.
How did I become a rogue? You were the one who offered me a massage. I traveled all this way, so naturally I am tired. What is wrong with accepting the offer?
For reasons even Chu Feng could not completely explain, the heaviness that had followed him earlier faded considerably after Miaomiao appeared. That contrast mattered. Moments earlier, Chu Feng had been balancing the lives of friends, the threat of the Dark Hall, and the deadly countdown of the blood-devouring armor. Miaomiao's arrival did not erase those dangers, but her carefree nature gave him a brief moment in which he could stop carrying all of them at once.
If I say you're a rogue, then you're a rogue. Why do you need to ask so many questions?
You really are unreasonable.
Knowing that arguing with her would lead nowhere, Chu Feng took out the blood-devouring armors and tossed one toward Miaomiao.
Here, put it on. We're going inside.
The blood-devouring armor was no ordinary suit of protective gear. Its unusual nature meant that Miaomiao did not need to remove her existing clothes. She simply donned the armor directly. The instant it settled around her body, her eyes lit up.
Wow, it actually fits me this well?
Delighted, she spun around several times to admire it. Chu Feng's modifications had done more than adjust the size. The formerly awkward blood-devouring armor had been refined into something far more fitting and visually pleasing.
I altered it specifically for you. Of course it fits.
Chu Feng then put on his own blood-devouring armor.
Not bad at all, as expected of this princess's attendant.
Since when did I become your attendant?
You weren't one before, but you are now. Come. This princess shall take you out to broaden your horizons and brave the blood-devouring killing formation.
Before Chu Feng could respond, Miaomiao charged forward with reckless enthusiasm, running straight into the vast sea of mist surrounding the mountain. Chu Feng could only shake his head at her behavior before immediately pursuing her. Miaomiao's personal strength was astonishing, but she was not a world spiritist, and inside a place built from an ancient era spirit formation, raw cultivation alone could never guarantee safety. That was precisely why Chu Feng could not afford to let her disappear too far ahead. The blood-devouring killing formation was not a battlefield where the stronger fist necessarily survived. Its true threat lay in formations, hidden mechanism, and dangers that might ignore ordinary differences in cultivation altogether. Chu Feng's world spirit techniques could prove every bit as important as Miaomiao's overwhelming strength. And so the two stepped into one of the Holy Land of Martialism's most feared forbidden regions, one laughing, as though she were beginning an adventure, the other already watching the mist for dangers she could not see. Whatever waited beyond that fit, the true test of the blood-devouring killing formation had only just begun. The instant Chu Feng and Miaomiao crossed into the blood-devouring killing formation, the world before them changed completely. From outside, the Forbidden Land had appeared buried beneath endless myth, mysterious and indistinct. Yet once they stepped through its boundary, every trace of that mist vanished as though an unseen hand had torn away a veil. What replaced it was a sight fierce enough to make ordinary cultivators hesitate. The earth was red. The mountains were red. Even the smallest stones beneath their feet carried the same crimson hue. Above them stretched a blood-red sky, turning the entire domain into a dazzling scarlet world. And yet Miaomiao showed no fear whatsoever. Her eyes shone with excitement as she darted here and there, examining the strange landscape as though she had entered some marvelous ancient-era playground, rather than one of the Holy Land of Martialism's most infamous forbidden regions.
Blood-devouring killing formation. Its reputation really is deserved.
Within Chu Feng's world spirit space, her Lady Queen watched Miaomiao's fearless behavior and, instead of criticizing her, revealed a rare trace of approval.
Haha, that girl is quite to this queen's liking.
Chu Feng immediately seized the opportunity to tease her. After all, despite all the years that had passed, and despite how ruthless and imposing Eggy could be, her appearance remained that of an exquisitely beautiful young girl.
Stop calling her girl all the time. You make yourself sound much older than she is.
Her Lady Queen narrowed her crescent-shaped eyes, deliberately trying to appear sinister. Yet placed upon that flawless youthful face, the expression carried far more charm than menace.
If this queen told you my true age, you might be frightened to death.
Yes, yes, Milady Queen is naturally the most amazing.
Xu Feng's grin widened as another mischievous thought entered his mind.
Milady Queen, why not come out and admire this beautiful crimson scenery while holding hands with me?
Pa, who wants to hold hands with you? Walk around by yourself. This queen is going to sleep.
With that, Eggy fell silent. Xu Feng could only swallow his faint disappointment. Fortunately, loneliness was impossible with Xian Miaomiao nearby. The energetic princess seemed capable of speaking enough for several people by herself. After surveying the Crimson Mountains and Scarlet Earth for a while longer, Miaomiao finally turned toward Xu Feng, curiosity written plainly across her face.
Xu Feng, why is everything here so red? Did whoever created this spirit formation deliberately make it like this to frighten people?
Xu Feng smiled. To Miaomiao, the color might have seemed like an intimidating decoration, but his heaven's eyes had already revealed something far more disturbing.
To frighten people? No. Everything here became red because of blood. This entire place was dyed crimson by blood.
Miaomiao stared at him with open disbelief. The landscape contained neither the expected stench nor the darkened stains of old blood. Everything remained impossibly fresh and brilliantly red.
Who are you trying to fool? If there were really this much blood, why can't I smell it? And dried blood turns dark. How could all of this still be so bright? Do you think you can trick me just because I haven't seen much of the world?
That is precisely what makes this place extraordinary. The blood does not dry, and its scent does not spread. It has been sealed within everything around us. If you don't believe me, I'll show you.
Xu Feng immediately crouched beside a rock and began arranging a tiny spirit formation. It was scarcely larger than a fingernail, yet every strand of spirit power was placed with astonishing precision. He pressed the miniature formation against the stone.
Open.
In the next instant, the tiny formation transformed into an outlet. Blood erupted violently from the rock, shooting upward in a thick pillar like water from a pressurized spring. When the flow finally ceased, something even stranger happened. The rock returned to the ordinary color it should have possessed from the beginning, while the fresh blood that had sprayed across the ground immediately sank into the earth, deepening its already vivid crimson shade. This small demonstration exposed the true nature of the Forbidden Land. The red color was not merely covering the surface. The formation had preserved and integrated the blood into the mountain, stones, and soil themselves. Whoever created such a system possessed spirit formation techniques vastly beyond ordinary comprehension. Miaomiao's playful disbelief disappeared. Her expression changed not into fear, but into genuine astonishment.
Heavens, it's actually true.
The realization immediately gave rise to a far more unsettling question.
How many people died here?
A great many, and not only humans. There is blood belonging to monstrous beasts here, as well as blood from existences that were neither human nor monstrous beast.
How can you tell?
My eyes can distinguish them. Their blood might all appear red, but their fundamental natures are different.
Xu Feng's gaze became solemn. Among the countless traces sealed into the land, some carried an aura that even he found difficult to measure.
There is even blood here, whose former owners were powerful enough that I can sense their strength merely by looking at it. Those beings surpassed martial emperors.
Miaomiao's eyes widened.
Above martial emperors are half-martial ancestors. Are you saying half-martial ancestor experts died here?
Xu Feng naturally understood what the half-martial ancestor realm represented. It stood above martial emperor, while beyond half-martial ancestor lay the true martial ancestor realm, an even more terrifying level of existence. Legends claim that martial ancestor represented the limit a human could reach while retaining a mortal body. Upon reaching that realm, even one's flesh would become unimaginably formidable. To Xu Feng, however, martial ancestor remained incomparably distant. Within the Holy Land of Martialism, it was said that cultivators could not progress beyond half-martial ancestor. The blood before him unquestionably exceeded the level of martial emperors. It might indeed have belonged to half-martial ancestors, yet Chu Feng refused to claim certainty where certainty did not exist. What Chu Feng could confirm was already shocking enough. Experts who stood beyond martial emperors had fallen inside this formation. That single fact transformed the crimson landscape from a strange relic into evidence of a terrifying ancient slaughter. Even the time of their deaths was impossible to determine. The formation had preserved the blood so perfectly that it remained as fresh as though it had only just been spilled. Then, after remaining silent for a time, Her Lady Queen suddenly spoke.
The power of this spirit formation has weakened, and it has weakened enormously. If it still possessed its original strength, with the cultivation the two of you currently possess, there is no possibility you could have entered it.
Chu Feng was immediately startled. His heaven's eyes were exceptionally powerful, yet even they had failed to reveal what Eggy had just concluded.
Eggy, how did you know?
If this formation had never been more powerful than it is now, then explain how so many mighty experts could have died inside it.
Eggy's reasoning did not rely on seeing some hidden mechanism. She read the formation through its consequences. A forbidden land containing the preserved blood of beings beyond martial emperor could not logically have possessed only the danger Chu Feng and Miaomiao were experiencing now. The corpses of the past were themselves proof that the formation had once stood on an entirely different level. Our Lady Queen continued, directing Chu Feng's attention toward another detail.
And the sealing formation here is also extraordinary. You may be able to draw the sealed blood out, but you cannot actually take it away from this place. Isn't that so?
Indeed.
Eggy had struck directly at the truth. Chu Feng's own spirit formations could temporarily extract blood from the surrounding terrain, but they could not remove that blood from the Blood Devouring Killing Formation. The reason was simple, yet overwhelming. The blood belonged to this great formation. The Blood Devouring Killing Formation stood on a level vastly superior to anything Chu Feng could currently construct. His techniques could open a tiny gap in its control, but they could not wrest its possessions away. For a world spiritist, this distinction was crucial. Chu Feng had not broken the formation's sealing power. He had merely manipulated a fragment of what was already sealed. The difference between those two achievements revealed just how enormous the gap remained between his present world spirit techniques and the creator of this ancient killing formation.
Eggy, what kind of existence do you think created this formation? Could it have been an immortal cloak world spiritist?
It is difficult to say. The formation has weakened too much. In its present condition, I cannot determine how strong its creator truly was.
And that uncertainty makes the formation even more intriguing. If what remains after countless years is still beyond Chu Feng's ability to fully comprehend, then the power it possessed at its peak must have been vastly more terrifying. At that moment, Xian Miaomiao suddenly approached Chu Feng again, wearing a bright, almost triumphant smile.
Chu Feng, do you know the history of this blood-devouring killing formation?
A little. I heard that it originated from the ancient era, and that ancient era treasures are hidden somewhere inside.
Chu Feng then recounted what was commonly known. After the ancient era ended, countless experts had been tempted by the treasures hidden within this place. Again and again, powerful cultivators entered in search of fortune. But those who entered never returned.
It is also said that the traps and mechanisms here are extremely frightening. If someone triggers them, that person will die on the spot. That is why this place came to be called the Blood Devouring Killing Formation.
Miaomiao, however, was clearly unimpressed by his knowledge.
Everything you just said is common knowledge? Don't you know anything else?
I don't, do you?
Of course.
She lifted her chin proudly. This time, the Elf Kingdom's princess possessed information even Chu Feng lacked.
Let me tell you. The Blood-Devouring Killing Formation was once the #1 forbidden area in the entire Holy Land of Martialism. Even the realm of gods and the moonlight maze were considered inferior to it.
The meaning of those words was enormous. Both the realm of gods and the moonlight maze were renowned mysterious regions. Yet in the blood devouring killing formation's prime, even they supposedly could not compare.
Back then, nobody dared to enter this place. The reason was simple. Once someone entered, they could not leave.
That reputation explains the blood preserved throughout the formation. Its victims were not merely reckless weaklings. The temptation of ancient era treasures would have drawn experts of generation after generation, and the stronger the intruders became, the more terrifying the formation's ability to kill them appeared. Miaomiao then revealed the crucial difference between that terrifying past and the formation standing before them now.
But as time passed, the power of the Blood Devouring Killing Formation gradually weakened. Now, forget merely wandering around the outer regions. As long as we are wearing the Blood Devouring armors, even the most dangerous area of the formation can be entered. Just think about that. How much must this place have weakened for something like that to become possible?
Xu Feng's expression became thoughtful. Miaomiao's account perfectly matched Eggy's deduction. Her Lady Queen had been correct. The blood-devouring killing formation they were exploring was merely the weakened shadow of an ancient monster. Its present danger could not be used to measure its former might. The crimson mountains around them were records of another age, preserving the price paid by experts who had challenged the formation while its fangs were still sharp. And if this greatly weakened formation still concealed ancient era treasures and mysteries that even Xu Feng's heaven's eyes could not fully decipher, then the deeper regions were unlikely to surrender their secrets without resistance. The formation might have grown old, but a sleeping ancient beast was still an ancient beast. Deep within the blood-devouring killing formation, Miaomiao revealed a secret far darker than the rumors circulating throughout the Holy Land of Martialism. Many believed priceless treasures were buried within this ancient forbidden ground. The truth was far more terrifying.
There's more. Many people think treasures are hidden inside the blood-devouring killing formation, but that isn't the truth. What is actually sealed here are ferocious beasts from the ancient era.
Xu Feng's expression immediately sharpened. Ancient era. Those two words alone carried a weight capable of making even powerful cultivators cautious.
Ferocious beasts from the ancient era? Are you serious?
Yes, it's true. That is why we ancient era's elves have always been worried about the blood-devouring killing formation weakening. If its power falls too far and it can no longer suppress those beasts, they could break free. And if that happens, they will bring catastrophe to the Holy Land of Martialism.
She explained that these sealed creatures resembled the ferocious beasts of the present era in one crucial way. They possessed no true intelligence. They lived by instinct alone. Slaughter and bloodlust were their nature. But there was one difference, and it was enough to turn a dangerous situation into a disaster.
The ancient era's ferocious beasts are vastly more powerful. The beasts living in the Holy Land of Martialism today simply cannot compare with them.
That explained why the ancient era's elves treated this formation as more than an ancient ruin. It was effectively a prison, and the blood-devouring killing formation itself was the barrier standing between civilization and creatures born in an age whose power surpassed the present.
Then you're saying the Holy Land of Martialism will eventually face this catastrophe?
That's right. It is destined to happen sooner or later.
Then, completely unlike someone discussing an approaching calamity, the young princess added something that made Xu Feng stare at her.
But I'm actually looking forward to that day.
Xu Feng frowned.
Why?
Think about it. Wouldn't killing an ancient era's ferocious beast be incredibly interesting?
Xu Feng could only shake his head at her fearlessness.
You really? If those ancient era's ferocious beasts appear, do you know how many innocent people could die?
That isn't quite right. Those people are weak, so naturally they can become prey. The world of martial cultivation has always been a world where the weak are prey to the strong. Even without ferocious beasts, weak people can still suffer humiliation at the hands of other cultivators.
Chu Feng did not argue. Harsh as her words sounded, he knew there was truth within them. Killing occurred every day throughout the Holy Land of Martialism, and cultivators often preyed upon those unable to resist. Miaomiao's words exposed one of the cruel foundations of the martial world. Strength did not guarantee righteousness, but weakness often meant having no power to protect one's own fate. Chu Feng understood that reality better than most, even if he did not celebrate it. But Miaomiao suddenly softened the atmosphere.
It's fine. I was only joking with you. Don't worry, since we ancient Era's elves already know about this danger, we naturally prepared for it long ago. Ancient Era's elves are stationed outside the Blood Devouring Killing Formation at all times. If those ferocious beasts ever break through the formation, our people will immediately surround and kill them.
Yet Chu Feng was not completely convinced. Creatures dangerous enough to require sealing within such a terrifying formation could hardly be ordinary opponents.
But if these ancient era's ferocious beasts had to be sealed here, could they really be so easy to deal with?
We have special methods for dealing with them. You can rest assured.
All right.
Chu Feng smiled faintly. With the ancient era's elves already preparing countermeasures, the weight in his heart eased considerably. The two continued deeper into the blood-devouring killing formation, talking and laughing as they traveled. Yet their relaxed manner did not mean the forbidden ground had suddenly become harmless. The danger was still there. Chu Feng was simply too perceptive. Every trap and hidden mechanism they encountered was detected before it could activate against them, allowing Chu Feng to avoid each danger with remarkable ease. What surprised him even more was Miaomiao. Her world spirit techniques were not particularly strong, yet her perception was exceptional. Every danger Chu Feng discovered, she was also capable of noticing. This meant Miaomiao was not merely relying on Chu Feng for protection. Even without him, the ordinary traps and mechanisms within this region would probably have struggled to harm her. Her strength lay not only in cultivation, but also in an unusually sharp instinct for danger. However, another detail disturbed Chu Feng far more. Throughout history, countless people from both the ancient era and later generations had supposedly died within the blood-devouring killing formation. Yet during their entire journey, Chu Feng and Miaomiao had not seen even a single skeleton. Chu Feng suspected the answer lay in the formation itself. The blood-devouring killing formation did not merely kill. It appeared capable of erasing even the remains of its victim. A killing formation that left behind neither survivor nor bone deserved its name. The absence of corpses was more unsettling than a mountain of skeletons, because it suggested that those who died here were swallowed so completely that almost no trace of them remained. After traveling for some time, the two finally reached the central region of the blood-devouring killing formation. Before them stood an enormous spirit formation, visible even to the naked eye. It rose all the way toward the cloud, resembling a colossal fortress, and yet somehow unlike any fortress built by mortal hand. Entrances opened around it from every direction. But its immense scale was not the most shocking thing. From outside, the blood-devouring killing formation was a world drenched in blood, a landscape so oppressive that the sight alone could shake the heart. Yet beyond the central barrier lay something completely different. Flowers bloomed there, plants flourished, towering trees stretched toward the heavens, while some flowers were enormous enough to rival palaces in size. At first glance, the central region looked less like the heart of a murderous formation and more like a hidden paradise untouched by the outside world. That contrast made the place even more suspicious. In a forbidden land infamous for slaughter, Beauty itself could not be trusted. The deeper Chu Feng traveled, the more the blood-devouring killing formation seemed to defy ordinary logic.
Wow, this really is extraordinary.
At that moment, Miaomiao suddenly removed her blood-devouring armor. Chu Feng immediately understood what she was testing and removed his own armor as well. The difference was immediate. Even though Chu Feng was still standing outside the central spirit formation, enormous pressure surged toward him in relentless waves. His hair stood on end. His bones creaked beneath the invisible force. Every instinct within him warned that without protection, stepping inside could mean instant annihilation.
So blood-devouring insects aren't the only living things capable of surviving here. Those special plants can withstand this pressure as well.
Exactly. We have special methods to lure out blood-devouring insects and make use of them. But those plants are different. There's nothing we can do with them.
Then let's go in.
Chu Feng put the blood-devouring armor back on and stepped through the spirit formation. Miaomiao followed closely behind. Only after entering did Chu Feng truly understand the scale of the central region. It was vast enough to feel like an independent world.
The center is even larger than I imagined. This place is enormous.
Then Chu Feng turned toward the real reason they had entered this dangerous place.
Miaomiao, can you sense where the ancient era's immortal flowers are?
Miaomiao shook her head.
I can't, but I'm certain ancient era's immortal flowers exist here.
You can't sense anything at all.
Once again, Miaomiao shook her head. Chu Feng immediately realized that finding the ancient era's immortal flowers would not be as simple as entering the central region and following her natural sense toward them.
There's no need to rush. This place is huge. We'll search carefully.
The two began examining the surrounding region. At first, they advanced slowly, searching with great care. But the longer they searched, the clearer the problem became. The central region was simply too large. If they continued inspecting every stretch of ground one step at a time, even several decades might not be enough to search the entire place. They had no choice but to increase their speed. The difficulty was no longer merely surviving the formation. Now it was a battle against scale itself. Their target could exist somewhere within this enormous world, but without a reliable direction, even powerful perception could become inefficient. Then, as they continued searching, Miaomiao's expression changed.
Chu Feng, I have a bad feeling. There are definitely ancient era's immortal flowers here, but my innate response to them has been cut off. I can't sense them anymore.
Miaomiao, you may be thinking too much. Even if ancient era's immortal flowers are here, they can't possibly be everywhere. Let's keep searching.
Okay.
For perhaps the first time since Chu Feng had known her, Miaomiao looked genuinely dispirited. That single change in her usually carefree mood showed just how deeply she wanted to find the ancient era's immortal flowers. For Miaomiao, this search clearly carried far more emotional weight than her playful behavior normally revealed. The moment her unique connection to the flowers failed, uncertainty struck harder than any ordinary trap inside the formation. Fortunately, her gloom did not last long. Miaomiao's naturally optimistic personality quickly resurfaced. Before long, she was talking and laughing with Chu Feng again, as though the moment of discouragement had already passed. Blood-devouring insects were also much easier to encounter within this region. Unfortunately for those insects, every one that crossed Miaomiao's path ended up falling into her hand. Chu Feng could understand her enthusiasm. Blood-devouring insects could be used to manufacture blood-devouring armor, and if the armor's special ability became widely known, such items would undoubtedly command an excellent price. Still, Chu Feng believed there was little reason to spend excessive effort catching insects. The vegetation surrounding them was capable of enduring the same enormous and mysterious pressure. That alone meant the plants and trees here possessed extraordinary value. perhaps equal to or even greater than the blood-devouring insect. Xu Feng's thinking revealed his practical side. Where others might see strange vegetation, he immediately considered its properties, its possible use in crafting protective armor, and the value such armor could possess outside this forbidden land. Survival resources could become treasures when placed in the hands of someone capable of understanding them. Before leaving, Xu Feng planned to collect some of these plants and trees. If he could later use them to create armor capable of resisting the blood-devouring killing formation's pressure, he was certain such armor would be extremely valuable. Then, while their search continued through that beautiful yet deadly ancient world, Miaomiao suddenly raised another subject.
Xu Feng, did you know there is actually a legend about the blood-devouring killing formation?
And considering what they had already discovered, a formation that erased its victim, a central region resembling an independent paradise, sealed ancient era's ferocious beast, and Miaomiao's suddenly severed connection to the immortal flowers, that legend might contain far more than an old story.